Hi, my name is Chloe Smith, and this is my Summative B project. So my first slides are my design specifications for B1. I have 8 design specifications, each for one of the axis FMs, like aesthetics, which is something to be desired, mainly about I want to have the house painted darker colors and make sure that it's one story because through our research and our surveys, they show that these are aspects of houses that customers prefer. Then there's the cost, which it must be between $50,000 to $120,000 based off of our clients' needs and different surveys that we've taken. Then there's customer, which is it must be designed for 1 to 2 people who care about the environment based off of our clients' needs and what we found through our surveys. Then there's the environment, which it must have things like solar panels and some type of rainwater collection system, as well as a garden, because these are some of the best ways to lower carbon footprint and other environment aspects that we found through our research. Then there's safety, which is extremely important because the house must be durable enough that it doesn't get destroyed easily or put anyone in danger based off of our research and the number of people who have died in things like house fires. Then there's size, which is also important because our house must not be over 1,000 square feet based off of our research. And then there's the function of the house, which it must save electricity and money through stuff like our solar panels and rainwater collection system. And we found this through the survey that we conducted. And lastly, our last specification is materials, because it may use things that are reusable yet still durable, because our research shows a bunch of different materials people want their house made out of, and also looking at already existing products. Next is my strand B2, which are 3 feasible ideas that I made. So each of these plans are different designs that I could have gone with for my final product. So the first one is the biggest one out of the 3 houses, and it has a lot of windows. It has a different roof compared to the other 2, and has a lot more garden space than the other houses have. And it also has solar panels, so it has some, but not all, of the design specifications that I mentioned earlier. This is my second design plan. It's a lot taller. I designed it to be a lot taller than the others, and it has some of the requirements that I mentioned, but not all, similar to the first one. It doesn't have any space to grow stuff like the other 2 have, yet it has a rainwater collection tank, like the third one has, yet not the first. It's not that big in like width or length, but it's tall and presumably would be 2 stories compared to the other houses, and has some big windows at the top. And then the third plan has solar panels similar to the other 2, and has a garden space like the first and rainwater like the second. It's a longer house than the other ones, and haven't completely decided on the dimensions yet. And it has a flat roof similar to the second house, but it's only 1 story like the first. Next is my B3 strand, which is my chosen design and the justification and how it fits each of my Axis FM specifications. So number 3 is my chosen design. So I highlighted each of my annotations that I made that are essential and which ones are desirable. Also, this is meant to be blue. So One of the most important design specifications that I must have is environmental, which I include, which this plan fits with the garden space, solar panels, and rainwater collection. So we will be evaluating whether or not the final product fits this by seeing if it has solar panels, rainwater collection system, and space outside, which currently it does. And if we were to actually build this house, we would also end up comparing the electricity and water bills from our client's previous house or from other people to see if the house is actually helping the environment and saving more money for them. And one design specification we don't know if it meets yet is the cost. But once we figure out the cost, make some estimation, it will be able to fit what our specification was, and we will be seeing if it's successful by seeing if it's between $50,000 to $120,000. Two other essential design specifications is the size, and currently the house's dimensions are 50 feet by 20, which fits exactly in the 1,000 square foot limits that my specification says. And we'll know if this specification if the plans are successful by seeing whether or not they go over 1,000 square feet, and currently they don't. And the last essential design specification is function, which is similar to the environmental one. We will be seeing if it's successful by guaranteeing that the final design plans and the final product have all these different elements that can help save electricity and the environment. And like I said earlier, if we were to actually build this house, we would compare the client's current and previous bills to see whether or not they're saving money, electricity, or water. In general, though, some of the other specifications that this also happens to fit is the aesthetic one by making sure that it's one story and that it has, and we're going to make sure that it is painted darker colors like the specification says, as well as making sure that the materials are sustainable. So we'll see whether or not it fulfills each of these desirable specifications by making sure that the plans won't end up with the house burning down or being destroyed by rain or any other natural disasters. Here's my last slide section, which is my B4 strand with the orthographic projections. So here's a 3D model of my sustainable home, the plan that I made a little bit before. And so what I did was I was using a website called Tinkercad, so I could make a 3D model and add many different shapes to make it look as close to my plans as possible. So I made sure that I included things like my garden, water collection system, and the solar panels, some of the most essential stuff that I added onto my design plans, and my specifications. So this is the 3D model part. And then here are the 3 different orthographic projections. Here's the plan, or the top elevation, where we can see all the different solar panels that are on top of the roof, as well as the rainwater collection and the garden. Then here's the front elevation, where we can see the most of my house, including how I annotated that there are bottled windows and a 1-story, which were in my aesthetic and materials design specifications. And like I mentioned earlier, solar panels, garden, and a water collection system that are part of my essential ones. And then here is the side elevation, which is just the side of the house with the garden on it, because the other side doesn't really have anything on it yet. So Like I said earlier, I created all of this using Tinkercad, and I took screenshots of the 3D model, and then positioned my camera so we could get one from the front, one from the top, and one from the side as best as possible. And so my final solution will be my final solution or my final product will be incredibly detailed plans as well as a 3D model possibly. So I would be using these plans to help expand on for my final product.